gembala yang baik, dan gembala kita semua. Selamat pagi teman-teman. Tuhan Allah Yesus KRISTUS, JAHOWA, NAIBATA, DEBATA, MULAJADI, God. Selamat pagi teman-teman. Kita ketemu lagi pagi ini bersama Dr. Horasmantuapurba. Ya, Dr. Horasmantuapurba, dokter yang kita banggakan bersama-sama. Ya, hari ini kita bertemu dengan Horasmantuapurba. Kita akan menyaksikan acara yang sangat menarik, lebih menarik dari acara yang sebelum-sebelumnya. Pertama, kita harus mengucap syukur kepada Tuhan karena rahmat-Nya dan lindungan-Nya kita tetap bisa bertemu lagi. Ya, saya harap kita bisa mengandalkan Tuhan dalam setiap perkara kecil maupun perkara besar. Hanya melalui Tuhan kita akan mendapatkan berkat dan kemegahan. Untuk itulah kita harus mengucap syukur, memuji Tuhan sepanjang masa, dari waktu, dari awal dan sampai kesudahannya. Tuhan telah memberikan kepada kita hidup yang baik, lebih baik daripada yang kita rencanakan. Baiklah teman-teman, mari kita saksikan acara berikutnya.
Menteri Israel kepada CNN, fakta yang Anda tampilkan tidak akurat.
Now, the Ram Party, the Islamist party, in fact, has suspended its cooperation, not ended, suspended. What are you going to do to, I don't know, change the situation that's caused them? And it is the reaction of the Israeli government to the clashes, Temple Mount and elsewhere.
Well, first and foremost, I can tell you that all of my security decisions regarding actions in Temple Mount or with Gaza are not political. I take the decisions on the merit, what's right for the security, what's right to do. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to change my defense-related decisions because of political considerations. I think and I expect all the members of the coalition to step up to the moment. We knew it was going to be hard. We knew that when you put secular and religious together, right and left, and Jews and Arabs together, there are going to be bumps in the road. But that's the challenge, and I think that there's a unique opportunity for the first time ever in Israel where there's a Arab leader, Mansour Abbas, who is divorcing the nationalistic elements from simply taking care of the Israeli Arabs. And I hope he steps up to the plate and his people.
You know, he might say the same about you and the government, hoping that you will step up to the plate as well. There are something like 14 people on each side now, from the Israeli side and from the Palestinian side, who have been killed in these latest clashes. And you say your defense and security policies are devoid of politics. However, this is a picture that the world has gotten used to now. It's constant cycle of killing, bloodshed, all sides really, really in desperate, dire straits, collective punishment, and just numbers, huge numbers of dead, regularly in Israel in 2022. So that's the fact, and there doesn't seem to be any attempt to negotiate an end to the actual conflict. I just wonder whether you're spending any energy and political capital with this diverse coalition to actually try to end this conflict.
Well, first of all, the way the facts were presented is not accurate. Israel is peaceful, and about a month ago, unfortunately, a new wave of terror was thrown upon the Israeli public. We lost 14 people in 4 different terror attacks in Beersheba, Hadera, Bnei Brak, in Tel Aviv center, where Arab Muslim terrorists, some of them affiliated with ISIS, just came with rifles and started shooting people on the street. This is unacceptable. So I object to the notion of both sides. No, when they don't attack us, we have no issues with them. But when they do attack us, I have to fight back and hit them at their terror bases, and that's what any leader would do, and that's what I'm doing. Now, regarding the broader picture, look, I'm not going to take experiments on the security of the Israelis. Last time in Gaza, we did it about 15 or 16 years ago. We handed Gaza over to the Palestinians. We pulled back to the 67 lines. We pulled out and expelled the Jews living in Gaza. And what we got in return is hell. Tens of thousands of rockets shot at us. I'm not in the business of playing experiments on the Israeli people. What I will do, and I am doing, is people-to-people peace, bottom up, getting more jobs for Palestinians, better paid jobs, improving the economy. That's what I believe in. And I have to say, the Palestinians are experiencing unprecedented prosperity.
The jobs issue that you've just said is jeopardized because there has been a blockade, against some towns leading into Israel. So Palestinians say that doesn't help them with the jobs. But what I want to ask you is, when you say people to people, let's just take what's happening, on the Temple Mount, Haram al-Sharif. When the world sees, and when Palestinians see, and when your region sees Israeli soldiers inside that mosque, it creates a lot of tension, a lot of unease. Why do you allow Israeli soldiers to go into that mosque?
Yeah, well, Christia, there you go again, starting the story in the middle. But the actual fact is that last Friday, at about 5 a.m. in the morning, roughly 300 Palestinian rioters entered Temple Mount Mosque with explosives, with stones. They began desecrating their own mosque, burning, throwing stones, and preventing about 80,000 decent Muslims from going to pray. My responsibility as Prime Minister of Israel is to provide freedom of prayer to everyone in Jerusalem, including Muslims, which is why I had to send in policemen to remove the rioters, and it worked. Indeed, 80,000 Muslims went on later to pray peacefully. So, when faced with violence, you have to act tough.
Mr. Prime Minister, you say there I go again. Clearly there's violence. We all watch it. We can see what happens. But let me now quote your own Israeli security people. Again, the context. The West Bank has been occupied since 1967. Settlers are allowed to be there. It is a minority, I know that, but they're there and they are violent, this minority, and it is generally deemed illegal by the rest of the world, the settlers in occupied territory. But that's a background to what I'm going to quote to you. Major General Yehuda Fuchs, who's the commander of your Israeli troops in the West Bank, is he not? Major General Yehuda Fuchs? He said in an interview with the New York Times that he was concerned about what he called settler terrorism and was exerting a lot of effort to avoid it. He said his job is to make sure both Israelis and Palestinians are safe. So if he says that, what is your response to that?
No, what you've been projecting is blatantly false.
Why do you say that?
Overwhelming majority. I'll tell you why I say it, because it's a lie, simply a lie.
No, sir, you cannot say that to me. You cannot tell me I'm lying. Mr. Prime Minister, I said a minority of extremists. That's what I said. That's what I said.
It's a tiny minority.
That's what I said.
A tiny minority, and I object the symmetry that you're trying to create here, because out of half a million,
there's no symmetry. I'm talking about your
Israelis,
own generals.
Could I finish the sentence,
yes.
Christian? Out of 500,000 Israelis that are decent and law-abiding Israelis living in Judea and Samaria, there's several hundred, perhaps even less, who apply violence from time to time. But who's getting murdered? We're seeing Palestinians murder Israelis. We're not seeing Israelis murdering Palestinians. And that's why there's no symmetry here. And I also object, these are not occupied territories. They're territories in dispute. And we have claim to our own place as well as them. I get it. No one's going anywhere. We have to figure out how to live together. That's my job, to provide security for Israelis, dignity for Palestinians. I'm working on that very hard. and we're succeeding. The problem is that the Palestinian leadership is totally corrupt, incompetent, so we have to do the job because there's no one to work with on the other side, and we have to take care, and indeed we're adding jobs, better jobs, but at the end of the day, my utmost responsibility is to provide security to the Israeli people.
I'm really sorry, but your own ministers from the past say that that's not fair. There is a Palestinian Authority which is a partner in peace. However, we're not going to conclude this today, but I want to ask you about Ukraine. You have been mediating. You went to Russia, you talked to President Putin, you've spoken to President Zelensky.
Salam damai dari Fakta Israel. Naftali Bennett, sang Perdana Menteri Israel.
Parlemen Israel, Knesset, akhirnya setuju Naftali Bennett sebagai Perdana Menteri Israel ke-13. Bennett akan menjabat selama 2,5 tahun dan digantikan oleh Yair Lapid selama 2,5 tahun berikutnya.
Bennett lahir di Haifa, Israel tahun 1972. Ia ikut wajib militer dan pangkat terakhir sebagai mayor di unit khusus IDF.
Setelah lulus Fakultas Hukum dari Universitas Ibrani Yerusalem, Bennett mendirikan Ciota, startup anti-fraud untuk perbankan. Ciota dibeli senilai 145 juta dolar Amerika.
Meski punya duit banyak, Bennett kembali ke IDF saat Perang Israel-Lebanon tahun 2006. Perang membuat Bennett terjun ke politik guna melayani negara Israel melalui Partai Rumah Yahudi. Bennett kemudian bergabung dengan Yamina. Sekutu Bennett adalah Ayelet Shaked, mantan Menteri Hukum yang terkenal keras.
Bennett menjadi anggota Knesset tahun 2013. Ia kemudian terpilih menjadi Menteri Pendidikan yang mengurangi jumlah murid dalam satu kelas dan menetapkan adanya pengawas untuk para siswa. Lalu menjadi Menteri Diaspora yang sangat mendukung pemukiman Yahudi di tepi barat. Dan terakhir sebagai Menteri Pertahanan.
Bennett adalah suami dari Gilad, ayah dari 4 anak. Cuma butuh waktu 7 tahun bagi Bennett untuk menjadi Perdana Menteri dari posisi awal anggota Knesset.
Saudara, Israel akan memasuki babak baru setelah Benyamin Netanyahu menjabat selama 12 tahun. Nantikan gebrakan Naftali Bennett demi Israel yang aman, damai, dan sejahtera. Selamat kepada Naftali Bennett, Perdana Menteri Israel yang baru.
Salam damai dari Fakta Israel.
בשלב זה תם המעשה הצבאי והגיעה שעת המעשה המדיני. על חורבות בתיהם של בכירי החמאס והריסות של למעלה מ100 קילומטר של מנהרות טרור חובה עלינו לבנות מציאות אחרת. מעשה מדיני אין משמעו הסכמי בזק, אלא התנעת מהלכים ארוכי טווח שיחלישו את הקיצוניים ויחזקו ויחברו בין המתונים.
Baru, Imbus Boat. Presiden Amerika Serikat Joe Biden tiba di Tel Aviv, Israel pada Rabu 13 Juli 2022. Kedatangan Biden disambut oleh Perdana Menteri Israel Yair Lapid dan Presiden Israel Isaac Herzog. Dalam kunjungannya, Biden menegaskan kembali keinginan Amerika Serikat untuk melakukan negosiasi untuk pendirian negara Palestina di wilayah yang diduduki Israel. Terakhir kali, upaya kompromi terhenti di tahun 2014. Penasehat Keamanan Nasional AS, Jake Sullivan menegaskan, kunjungan Biden ke Israel adalah untuk membuka kembali konsul yang sempat ditutup oleh pemerintahan Donald Trump. Biden menyebut solusi kedua negara sebagai harapan terbaik bagi masa depan. Kunjungan ini merupakan kali pertama Biden ke Israel sebagai presiden. Biden pertama kali mengunjungi Israel pada tahun 1973 sebagai senator. Sejauh ini, Israel telah bersikap hati-hati tentang perselisihan dengan Washington. Dalam hal ini adalah upaya diplomasi nuklir Iran dan juga negosiasi soal Palestina yang telah lama terhenti. Perdana Menteri Israel Yair Lapid menyebut bahwa Biden adalah salah satu teman terbaik yang pernah dikenal Israel. Diketahui, Biden akan menginap di Yerusalem selama 2 hari sebelum bertemu dengan Presiden Palestina Mahmud Abbas pada Jumat besok. Selanjutnya, Biden akan langsung terbang dari Israel ke Jeddah, Arab Saudi. Para pejabat AS mengatakan bahwa lawatan yang dilakukan oleh Biden dapat menjadi langkah normalisasi Israel-Arab. Kunjungan tersebut akan membangun hubungan Israel dengan Uni Emirat Arab, Bahrain, Sudan, dan Maroko di bawah inisiatif Amerika pada 2020 yang dijuluki sebagai Kesepakatan Abraham. Lawatan ini bertujuan untuk mempromosikan stabilitas regional, memperdalam integrasi Israel di kawasan, dan juga melawan pengaruh Iran, Rusia, dan China. Namun anggota Organisasi Pembebasan Palestina atau PLO, Wasel Abu Yosef mengatakan, dia tidak melihat adanya perbedaan dari Biden dengan pemimpin lainnya tentang isu Palestina.
Fans Messi di Yerusalem, Israel saat Argentina menang penalti.
של אלופים.
Inilah suasana nobar nonton bareng Piala Dunia final antara Prancis melawan Argentina di Java Street di Yerusalem, Israel. Pendukung Argentina duduk di sisi kiri saya dan pendukung Prancis di sisi kanan saya.
Enzo Fernandez, כדור טוב למסי.
Beginilah suasana saat perpanjangan waktu antara Argentina melawan Prancis.
עוד מעט הפנדלים, אלא אם כן מישהו פה יעשה באמת. הוא עשה את זה גם נגד אוסטרליה, גם אז היה ממש לקראת הסיום. רגע, אולי בכל זאת זה לא נגמר, כי הם בקלו לקבל את הכדור, אתה יודע מה קורה שלי בקלו לקבל את הכדור. רגע, לא תמיד. תראה את הריקוד, תראה את הריקוד!
מצביעים לשחקנים, קיבלנו פה הופעה הירואית מכל שהיה באזור.
אנחנו נצא למספר הודעות, אחרי זה, עוזרים, אין דלי.
Inilah suasana penalti antara Argentina melawan Prancis. Dan Anda bisa lihat reaksi fans Argentina setiap kali tim Argentina mencetak gol, suasananya sangat-sangat seru.
award for Best Sustainable Developer is PT Bumi Serpong Damai.
And the winner of Best Housing...
אתה יודע, כל הזמן משחקים פסיכולוגיים, גם דיבורים, גם זרק לו לכדור הצידה, כדי שעוד קצת יחשוב, לא רק ההליכה הזאת מהחצי, עוד קצת להיכנס בו. לא נשאר בציפורניים, נתתהיה לשם. שהוא המלך.
I have great pleasure in welcoming His Excellency Naftali Bennett, Prime Minister of the State of Israel. I invite him to address the General Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished delegates, Israel is a lighthouse in a stormy sea, a beacon of democracy, diverse by design, innovative by nature, and eager to contribute to the world despite being in the toughest neighborhood on earth. We are an ancient nation, returned to our ancient homeland, revived our ancient language, restored our ancient sovereignty. Israel is a miracle of Jewish revival. Am Yisrael Chai, the nation of Israel is alive, and the state of Israel is its beating heart. My friends, for way too long, Israel was defined by wars with our neighbors. But this is not what Israel is about. This is not what the people of Israel are about. You see, Israelis don't wake up in the morning thinking about conflict. Israelis, like everyone else, want to lead a good life, want to take care of our families, and build a better world for our children. And that means that from time to time, we might need to leave our jobs, say goodbye to our families, and rush to the battlefield to defend our country. Just like my friends and I have had to do ourselves from time to time. They should not be judged for it. Israelis remember the dark horrors of our past, but remain determined to look ahead, to build a brighter future. Distinguished delegates, there are two plagues that are challenging the very fabric of our society at this moment. One, of course, is the coronavirus, which has killed over 5 million people around the globe. The other has also shaken the world as we know it, and it's the disease of political polarization. Both coronavirus and polarization can erode public trust in our institutions. Both can paralyze nations. If left unchecked, their effects on society can be devastating. In Israel, we faced both. And rather than accept them as a force of nature, we stood up. We took action. And now we can already see the horizon. About 100 days ago, my partners and I formed a new government in Israel, the most diverse government in Israel's history. What started as a political accident can now turn into a purpose. And that purpose is unity. You know, today we sit together around one table. We speak to each other with respect. We act with decency. And we carry a message. Things can be different. Even though we harbor very, very different political opinions, we're sitting together for the good of our nation.
Salam damai dari Fakta Israel.
Pleasure in welcoming His Excellency Yair Lapid, Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Israel. I invite him to address the Assembly.
Thank you. Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. In November 1947, this General Assembly gathered and decided a upon the creation of a Jewish state. Only a few 100,000 Jews lived in Israel at the time, in hostile surroundings, shocked and devastated after the Holocaust, in which 6 million of our people were murdered. 75 years later, Israel is a strong, liberal democracy, proud and prosperous. A startup nation that invented ways, an Iron Dome, medicines for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and a robot which can perform spinal surgery. A world leader in water and food tech, cyber defense, and renewable energy, with 13 Nobel Prize winners in literature and chemistry, economics, and peace. How did this happen? It happened because we decided not to be a victim. We chose not to dwell on the pain of the past, but rather to focus on the hope of the future. We chose to invest our energies into building a nation, into building a happy society, optimistic and creative. We didn't only reach the promised land, we are building the promised land. History is determined by people. We need to understand history, respect it, and learn from it, but also to be willing and able to change it, to choose the future over the past, peace over war, partnership over seclusion and isolation. A few months ago, we convened the historic Negev Summit. We sat at dinner not far from the grave of David Ben-Gurion, the founding father of the State of Israel. There were 6 of us: the Secretary of State of the United States, foreign ministers of Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and Israel. A dinner that only 2 years ago no one would have believed was possible. And then the door opened. Someone came in and said, "I'm sorry to disturb you, but there was a terror attack not far from Tel Aviv. 2 Israelis were murdered." In an instant, we all understood that the goal of the attack was to destroy the summit, to create anger among us, to cause us to argue and to divide this new partnership between us. And I said to the foreign ministers, we have to condemn this terror attack right now together. We have to show the world that terror will not triumph. The room fell silent. And then one of the Arab foreign ministers said, "But we are always against terror. This is why we're here." And 5 minutes later, we put out a joint statement from the 6 of us, condemning the attack and sanctifying life, cooperation, and our belief that there is a different way. The summit continued. Agreements were signed. Working groups were formed to deal with issues of technology, food security, energy, water, education, and infrastructure. Those working groups are changing the face of the Middle East as we speak. The people of the Middle East, the people of the entire world, should look around and ask themselves, who is doing better? Those who chose the path of peace, or those who chose the way of war? Those who chose to invest in their people and country, or those who chose to invest in the destruction of others? Those who believe in education, tolerance, and technology, or those who believe in bigotry and violence? Whenever I meet someone who has criticism of Israel, I always have the same answer. Come and visit us. Come and meet the real Israel. you will fall in love. A country which combines breathtaking innovation with a deep sense of history, great people, great food, great spirit. A vibrant democracy, a country in which Jews, Muslims, and Christians live together with full civic equality. In the government which I lead, there are Arab ministers. There is an Arab party as a member of our coalition. We have Arab judges in our Supreme Court, Arab doctors saving lives in our hospitals. Israeli Arabs are not our enemies. They are our partners in life. Come and visit us. You will discover that Israel is an incredible cultural mosaic. From the white snowy mountains of the Golan to the white desert sand of the Negev. From Tel Aviv, the high-tech capital, a non-stop party on the Mediterranean Sea, to Jerusalem, our eternal capital, the holy city for three religions in whose beautiful streets the past meets the future every single day. There are, however, two major threats hanging over the head of our wonderful country. They also hang over your heads, even though you may try to deny them. The first is the nuclear threat. The fear that terrorist states and terrorist organizations will get their hands on nuclear weapons. The second threat is the demise of truth. Our democracies are slowly being poisoned by lies and fake news. Reckless politicians, totalitarian states, and radical organizations are undermining our perception of reality. We should know there is no country in the world that faces this phenomenon more than Israel. There is no country that has come under a greater attack of lies with such a vast amount of money and effort being invested in spreading disinformation about it. Last May, the picture of Malak Al-Tanani, a 3-year-old Palestinian girl, was published all over the world with the terrible news that she was killed with her parents in an attack by the Israeli Air Force. It was a heartbreaking image. But Malak Al-Tanani doesn't exist. The photo was taken from Instagram. It is of a girl from Russia. I can give you thousands more examples of similar fake news about Israel. The anti-Israel movement has been spreading these lies for years in the media, on college campuses, and on social media. The question is not why they do it, but why are you willing to listen? Why are you listening to people who have invested billions of dollars in distorting the truth? Why do you side with Islamic extremists who hang gay people from cranes, oppress women, and fire rockets at civilians from kindergartens and hospitals? I am not a guest in this building. Israel is a proud sovereign nation and an equal member of the United Nations. We will not be silent when those who wish to harm us use this very stage to spread lies about us. Anti-Semitism is the willingness to believe the worst about the Jews without questioning. Anti-Semitism is judging Israel by a different standard than any other country. Conducting this orchestra of hate is Iran. For more than 40 years now, in the town squares and on the streets of Iran, demonstrators have been photographed burning Israeli and American flags. Ask yourselves, where are the flags coming from? How did they get so many of our flags? The answer is they are manufacturing them especially, just so they can burn them. This is what an industry is. This is a regime that systematically deals with hatred. They even hate their own people. Young Iranians are suffering and struggling from the shackles of Iran's regime, and the world is silent. They cry for help in social media. They pay for the desire to live a life of freedom with their lives. Iran's regime hates Jews, hates women, hates gay people, hates the West. They hate and they kill Muslims who think differently, like Salman Rushdie, Mahsa Amini. Their hate is a way of life. It is a way to preserve the oppressive rule. There is only one member state in the UN that openly states it wished to destroy another member state. Iran has declared time and time again that it is interested in the total destruction of the state of Israel. And this building is silent. What are you afraid of? Has there ever been a time in human history where silence stopped violence? The country that wants to destroy us is also the country that founded the largest terrorist organization in the world, Hezbollah. Iran funds Hamas and Islamic Jihad, and it is behind mass terrorist attacks from Bulgaria to Buenos Aires. It is a murderous dictatorship that is making every effort to get a nuclear weapon. If the Iranian regime gets a nuclear weapon, they will use it. The only way to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is to put a credible military threat on the table. And then, and only then, to negotiate a longer and stronger deal with them. It needs to be made clear to Iran that if it advances its nuclear program, the world will not respond with words, but with military force. Every time a threat like that was put on the table in the past, Iran stopped and retreated. Today, the world is choosing the easy option. It chooses not to believe the worst, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Israel does not have this privilege. This time, we are not standing empty-handed against those who want to destroy us. The Jews today have a state. We have an army. We have great friendships, first and foremost with the United States. We have capabilities, and we are not afraid to use them. We will do whatever it takes. Iran will not get a nuclear weapon. We will not stand by while there are those who try to kill us. Not again. Never again. Israel's economic and military strength allows us to protect ourselves, but it also allows us something else. To strive for peace with the entire Arab world and with our closest neighbors, the Palestinians. An agreement with the Palestinians based on the two states for two people is the right thing for Israel's security, for Israel's economy, and for the future of our children. Peace is not a compromise. It is the most courageous decision we can make. Peace is not weakness. It embodies within it the entire might of human spirit. War is a surrender to all that is bad within us. Peace is the victory of all that is good. Despite all the obstacles, still today, a large majority of Israelis support the vision of the two-state solution. I am one of them. Israel seeks peace with all our neighbors, all our neighbors. We are not going anywhere. The Middle East is our home. We are here to stay forever. And we call upon every Muslim country from Saudi Arabia to Indonesia to recognize that and to come talk to us. Our hand is outstretched for peace. Conflicts do not disappear on their own. Hostility doesn't disappear on its own. People create conflicts. People can also replace them with friendship, kindness, and common good. The burden of proof is not on us. We have already proved our desire for peace. Our peace treaty with Egypt has been fully implemented for 43 years now. Our peace treaty with Jordan for 28 years. We are a country that keeps its word and fulfills agreements. We proved our desire for peace through the Abraham Accords, the Negev Summit, and the agreements we've signed with the Arab world. The State of Israel is the only country in the world founded by a book, the book of books, the Tanakh. That book and the principles of liberal democracy require us